last November, I don't have any minutes prepared, so if you could make some notes, and I'll make sure I get the minutes for this meeting out.
Okay.
Could you do that if you could? Thanks. Okay. Are there any additions or deletions to the current agenda? I have one, and I'll put that down at the last. One of the things I totally neglected to do is that we have to consent on a chairman for the Open Space Committee for the next year. So we got to go through that procedure. So we'll make that item number 4. A chair is appointed each and every year, and I totally forgot to do that. Okay, so we'll start with the liaison reports. Leah, welcome. Thank you for coming. Nice for you to drop in. Can you let us know what's happening with the Recreation Department?
Yeah, well, we had a work session last month instead of a meeting.
Okay.
And the work session's purpose was to review the Grosville plans for parks and recreation in terms of the new millage that provides us with much-needed new money and some block grants that we succeeded in pulling 3 or 4 of them together, because if we didn't spend the money and do something with it, Roseville would lose the money.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's the program funds and et cetera. So what we did was we went through each of our areas, starting with Water's Edge, looked at what the public had said were their priorities until 2015. We were all shocked to almost have to start over again for the next 5-year plan. And then we identified priorities of things that had to be done. Some things, have to be put out for bid, and for like maintenance and extending the boardwalk at the marina, that kind of thing. And then the golf, we have a lot of equipment needs there. We've been, keeping our mowers and everything together with gum and whatever else they can do. And so we identified things we needed there. Okay. And then we went to the Centennial Farm where the dog park is, and Tails has a proposal to expand physically their facility, which we don't control. That's all done by a separate fundraising group, but we monitor it. So there's still drainage issues there, which...
How big are they want?
I don't remember the exact figures, but it would be able to stay right there in that area. And there's this thing about having to separate the cats and the dogs. I don't remember that it was double, but it was considerable, because when it was built, however many years ago, it was state-of-the-art. But now things have changed. Sure. So they're going to be in a fundraising plan with that. The recreation building, we have an ongoing issue there with water. Like where the deck door is. We finally looked at pictures of it, and it's not an eaves trough, but something over top of that door, the window of the door. Yeah. So the water comes straight down, gets under the floor, and we've repaired the floor, but then we have to do it all over again. So
with the eaves troughs.
So yeah, that would be a solution for that, but it's just an ongoing problem, and so we're going to look at that. So that's where we are. The programs, of course, are out there and running, and so many positive reports about the new bike path at the north end of Horse Mill. One of my favorite memories is seeing a gentleman in his wheelchair walking his dog.
Yeah.
That would be simple.
I wish I would have had a camera, because it was just a perfect...
It says it all, doesn't it?
It did. Just imagine being able to go out with your dog in a power wheelchair.
I see him not every week, but I see him.
Do you see him out there? Yeah. Good. I don't get up. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with the community rec at this point.
So that's a new 5-year plan, or just...
Yeah, so it's a 5-year plan from 2011 to 2015. And so, and we were...
You start all over again.
Yeah, we will. Within, by next spring, we'll have to start looking at public meetings and calling organizations together like you guys. And seeing how we can collaborate.
Right.
Oh, I didn't mention the airport, but the recreation area at the airport, there are some, some big plans which are not affordable with the GISA and et cetera, but it's a popular place. It's used, and the ice rink will be available next year.
Good.
We don't have one this year?
No.
We've got the cement down, but you have to let the cement age, because so it doesn't crack in the long run.
We've had the nice winter for it.
Yeah, right. It's been a good winter.
Yeah, they plan specifically to leave it dry this year.
Okay.
Because exactly what you said, if you let it cure a long time, next year, well, during the summer, you're going to have inline skating.
Yeah, right.
But in the winter next year, they will be capable of having a nice-sized ice rink.
Where's that rink going to be?
It's not where I wanted it, but it's because I think we had to move a basketball court or something to do it.
Okay, but it's at Water's Edge.
Water's Edge, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Somewhere between where the basket court was and the swimming pool is.
Right.
And of course, the swimming pool, a major filter thing or something has to be replaced there. We've been limping along.
They just did the heaters, the year before last?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if the filters are
Yeah,
shut.
it's time, So,
Well, thank you.
well, thank you. And of course, I have a meeting at the church at 7:30, so if you have any questions, you need to ask me now.
No, I think we'll just, I'll talk to you. I'll call you on the phone.
Okay, yeah, let me know,
I'll let
because
you know.
I will be expected to make a report in February about what's going on here.
Wally, anything new with the township?
Well, a couple of things, Lou. Just yesterday, 2 appointments were made. Lorinda Beneteau has been named interim director, DPS,
Oh, okay.
and uniquely suited for the task, I think. It's a sad case to lose a guy like Barry, but
Oh, indeed.
the fact is that she has been his shadow for so many years. So there will be a great deal of continuity because of her being there.
Yes.
And she's accepted it. They've also done some promotional work with John Kime, changing his duties a little bit.
Okay.
But the big deal happens to be Lorinda. If you see her, congratulate her.
I will do that.
She went through a tough time working for somebody that she truly loved. They were just the best of friends as well as an employee and supported relationship. He's like kind of a daughter. She was a daughter to him, really. And she maintained with his family very well. He had a couple of lovely daughters, and his wife was a sweetheart too.
Absolutely.
So we're going to miss Barry, but I couldn't think of a better interim arrangement. And who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see how she runs. That's what you do when you're an interim. It gives you a chance to show your stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Lorinda's got the right stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Congratulations to Lorinda.
Yeah, well, I think we should, if you see them, congratulate them both. My other committee, the Bike Path Committee, is still recovering from finishing that bike path, and we still have some cleanup work and some fix-up work to do in the spring, but to do some final patching that just never got done. They are most anxious of working with this committee, and I hope you are just as anxious as working with them. Hard paths and soft paths make good sense to work together. And I would ask you to consider further joint meetings.
Absolutely.
They're going to go into a budgeting session and get a grip on themselves again. They've had a hard year. That committee's like herding cats, and I'll tell you that myself. But there's a lot of talented cats there. We just had a very interesting recent addition to fill a vacancy. Roger Will has joined the Bike Path Committee.
Roger.
The former trustee, Roger Will.
That was my
Oh, okay.
really?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Roger he left the township board, 5 years ago now.
yeah.
And he went through some bypass surgery.
Oh, good.
And he's lost a tremendous amount of weight.
Yeah.
You will see him on the bike pass every day, riding the bike with his son, Savio. And he applied for it, and he applied, and he had a real severe challenge by two other applicants who were very, very good in their own way, but the group decided that Roger was equal to that, plus with his township experience, he should be a big help to us.
Okay.
And the rest of the folks on the committee are not township seasoned, so that'll help me.
Oh, that's great.
And I would just add that, you know, the community rec continues to be supportive of the bike paths and trails. We're very...
It all has to fall together. When you start your planning process, we have to be a part of it.
Yep.
Very good.
No.
Hey, Pat, make sure you tell them about your post.
I know about the post.
Good.
Can't change it until spring.
No, you know about I told you about the post, right?
Yeah, you can't change that one until spring. Somebody must have hit it with a...
Something with a heavy object.
Oh, yeah. Slap a 4x4, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. As far as the property acquisitions, we're getting very close on a purchase of some additional pieces of property to the north end of the island. Without going into details, it's I think it'll be a good fit, and looking forward to Dale consummating the agreement and subsequent approval by the township board. So that'll be good news for us. Okay, Roberta, anything new from the Conservancy?
The Conservancy is in the process of establishing the photo contest for high school students.
Okay.
So it's nature, animals, and landscape are the topics. And this is the second annual.
Okay.
Deadline is May 14th, something like that.
Very good. Anything else? In the winter, there isn't too much.
Right. Things have quieted down.
Okay. Thank you very much, Roberta. Pat, anything new on the wildlife sanctuary? The trail is complete.
The trail is complete. We've had trimming done so that maintenance can now happen. They can get a truck in there. They can dump mulch. They can do whatever kind of maintenance we have to do. If anyone needs to be emergency evacuated, you can get something in to get them out.
Okay.
We have the bench. The bench will go in the spring.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. Is it beautiful?
It is.
Good.
It's
Better
it's down at the DPS. It's inside,
Okay.
obviously.
Okay.
And if you want to see it, you just stop in and see Donna
Okay.
Deppa.
Good.
And it's sitting right outside. It's in the garage area, of course. But I think it'll look very nice. And the first nice day we get, we want to do some prep work where it's going to go, just make sure that the ground is even up. And I think we have to there's a stick or a dead branch sticking up from the ground that we're going to have to cut off. That's about a 2-minute job.
Yeah, it's a pretty good location.
And then when
for
we
it.
put it in, we got to make sure that we secure it enough so that it won't fly away. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We'll
Yeah.
walk away.
So it's lasting.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when we get to the budget, we'll get into this, but I'd like to put up a sign as you enter from Horse Mill, identifying the 5 major trees that are along the path and giving a little bit of history of why there's only 5 trees because of the ice age and the environment, so that if teachers want to use that as a quick and easy outing for the children, it can become an educational path as well. And we went there in the fall and we identified the major trees, and if the budget gets approved, we'll be putting signage on the trees so that when people read about the trees, they can go out and look and see the appropriate trees. And there's still that rock that I'm looking for a geologist about, because the individual that went on the trail walk with me for the trees said that she's very sure it's a significant rock, that if you know what you're looking at, it'll tell you how the ice age moves through there. So anybody find a geologist for me, I
I
will
know
be happy.
somebody I was supposed to
Okay.
contact
Is it the
her.
kind of rock that It's like a glacier.
It's the one I wanted you to move and put at the entryway.
Yeah, but isn't that the kind that has about 1/10 is on top and
Yes,
9/10
that's why it didn't get moved, yeah.
You still got your minivan, don't you?
But I think that would really add to it, too.
Oh, wonderful.
So, and how many of you have been to Centennial Farm and seen the butterfly garden?
Yeah.
The educational sign they have there where you flip up and like you'll see the tree and then you flip it up and it tells you. That's sort of what we're designing, what we have in mind for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
for
nice to
the,
be interactive like
oh,
that.
Yeah, for when you go on.
For example, to be able to move that thing was with the excavators they had in there, you could have maybe asked them if they could have moved it at the time, but now they're...
No, well,
We
yeah,
did.
we did. It's a big rock.
If you,
They couldn't move it.
if you don't find somebody, I teach in the geology department.
Well, there you go.
So just, if you got somebody local,
Okay.
they can look at it. Now, I'll talk to Dr. Lemke. We'll make a field
Good.
trip.
That would be appreciated.
Got a graduate student, I'm sure, that could help.
And then,
I got 19 graduate students in a course I'm teaching right now, and they are just gung-ho. So that would be they could cut their teeth on that.
Oh, wonderful.
and we did plant some cilia at the entry. If the squirrels or rabbits didn't get it all, you'll see them come up. Because I'm
Hostas
hoping,
in there too for the deer.
yeah, but I'm hoping to have it like a blue carpet when you enter, because that stuff, once it gets going, it spreads like crazy. And then some of the garden club members have volunteered to bring red buds over at the entry and
Oh, that'd be
plant
great.
some red buds. So we'll get the sign, and then we'll get the pretty flowers and
Cecilia, is that a native?
a little blue.
I know, but I...
You know that across from the police station,
Yeah, that whole,
only in the
things that
spring.
come up.
Yeah, but if you
About
look
10 days.
at the empty area right across from the police station, in the spring, it's just a carpet of blue. It's gorgeous.
I got the same thing in my backyard.
Oh, darn it.
I do.
Good for you.
And it goes through three different cycles. First thing that comes through is the scilla. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that comes through is the dogtooth violets. And after the dogtooth violets, I got lily of the valley.
Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah. In the same bed. They just all come up in the same area.
Yeah.
Do you have any daffodils?
I have a few daffodils in there,
Most-
but they're kind of insignificant.
Most of the daffodils that the garden club had planted in that area sort of got lost during the bike path. But,
you want an omelet, you got to break some eggs.
well, but the thing is, I think they'll put in more.
One of the things we have to do is we got to make sure that's on our punch list is that when the weather permits that sign should be replaced or repaired, the one that's
Okay.
damaged.
Yeah, it just got a post replacement. I talked
Yeah.
to Dale about it.
Yeah, okay.
She said, come see me in the spring. We'll
Good,
get it fixed.
okay. Also,
Actually, I thought that post might be fixed.
also, I think, do we need some more mulch in that area for the springtime or not?
I think we still need to finish the south end of the trail. We got up, where if you come in from the north side and then it goes like this.
Yeah.
We got up to where it comes back, and then where it starts as a straight one.
Yeah.
We didn't get that finished.
Yeah, where it's real low there. You need
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need some more. We need some more mulch in that area, I think.
a lot of mulch.
So I think we can get one of the local.
How good does last year.
Yeah. So we should be able to finish that up in the early spring. Or,
It's their island, too. They're
Yeah.
part of it.
okay. Anything else, Pat?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. The not meat of the meeting, but one of the things we want to do is to, and these may not seem daunting, but they can be finished very quickly, I think. We have to consent on the annual report. And what I'd like you to do is just turn to the first page. This is the annual report that we made out last year. And basically what we do is we, first of all, look at the bottom section and ask ourselves whether we achieved the things we said we were going to do, and with a real short comment, or if we didn't, say no and why we didn't. And then we'll proceed and together prepare a list of the objectives we want to complete for the following year. First thing we said we were going to do is expand the wood cutting events to include more open spaces and other township vacant property. In my mind, I think we did that very successfully.
You did.
Thanks to Woody. Agree, Woody?
Yes, that's good.
Okay.
Too bad we didn't have
Excuse me, I'm
more
sorry.
people.
Are you talking about opening it up to non-residents?
Yeah. The next, they don't come in the spring, they come in the fall.
Yeah.
In the fall,
People don't want to cut trees when they can.
Did we have two
Summertime's
events?
coming.
We had two events
We had
last
two.
year.
Last year, but we're going to have to wait and see what kind of weather we have. I don't want to send people out there now and to slip on the ice.
You wouldn't get them. You wouldn't get them out there.
No, you wouldn't
I wouldn't get them out there anyway.
Yeah.
So the
We'll
fall
we'll
event
probably
was not
include
as
that
good as
for
the
our
spring,
objectives for
or the
next
spring
year.
was not as good as the fall.
Fall's as good as fall.
Honestly,
Yeah, that makes sense.
You might want to consider having two fall events rather than a spring and a fall.
Exactly.
Maybe, that'd be better.
Okay. Conduct 2 dump-to-junk events and provide means for residents to dispose of large items on a recurring basis. We achieved that. And also, in my mind, we did something better. We also included electronics in the fall event. So I think we should mark achieved on that. Again, thanks to you, Woody, on spearheading that event, and to you, Wally,
Yeah.
for arranging
You
for
get
the
those ready,
electronic
get 'em
items.
If you want me to start working on them, now's the time.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we, do you suppose we could have another electronic event in the spring? But we'll discuss. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But I say we achieved.
Think about it now, because if it isn't spring, it's got to be fall.
Well, the thing is that come spring and summer, everybody and his brother has these e-waste events, including Wayne County. Wayne County was, the sponsor for ours.
Yeah, you have to
They
start
only
planning
have, they
it.
only have one contract e-waste handler, and those guys did a good job. We want to make sure that they felt that it was worth their while. And I haven't heard that from them, but I can talk to Mary Vandenbush and see what she says.
But you have to start planning now.
Okay. All right, the next thing was to conduct a survey of the community's interest concerning open space trails.
I worked with Brian Pollock on that, and we had everything in place. We were ready to start it, and then we started talking around to various people on commissions in Groseal, and they basically told us that surveys just don't work. You don't get enough feedback to give you enough idea of what really is being thought of. So Brian and I decided to just not follow through with it. I did talk to Cliff. I didn't do this on my own.
Yeah.
But what was recommended, and this was from the Cable Commission people, they had a speaker come in who talked to them about how do you get feedback? How do you know what people are really thinking? And the suggestion that Kathy Walker gave us was that you go around to the different groups, the Kiwanis, the PTAs, the whatevers and the whatevers, one-on-one, talk to them and find out. So Brian and I pulled back for this year. If he gets directed from his group and I get directed from this group, then we'll set up next year to go around to the different groups and say, here's what we're doing. Do you like it? Do you have any suggestions? Where do you want us to go with it? Whatever. But we just don't think the survey is the way to go.
Yeah,
Okay,
people-
what I say was not achieved. After a lot of discussion, it was decided that a simple survey would not be effective.
Right, right.
Okay.
I might just throw something into this, and Leah's here, she can carry it back. They're going to start that 5-year plan in recreation, and that's a place where a lot of focus groups come.
Okay.
And maybe there should be a
Should be
focus group
collaborate, yeah, there should be a
in relationship to
collaboration,
the rec
yeah. I was thinking
commission.
the same.
Well, that's one thing that Brian said. Why don't we just do a whole community
Sure.
input, not just the bike path and the open space are doing this, and the communications cable is doing that.
Really look at it.
Because if you look at it, you're asking people to do 5, 6, 7 surveys, and they're tired of
And
them.
if you take a look at the Recreation Commission, the bike paths and the open space and trails are kind of supportive of the recreation
Right.
philosophy, so why
Right.
not be there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it would work. I mean, we should, I'll talk to Wally and because we'll be starting it soon, and we'll just,
Yeah.
can work
We'll
together on
participate if we can.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it is effective to have the groups. That's where we pick up.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can go into the next year's goals and objectives. I think that's where we should maybe
Yeah.
concentrate
Oh,
on.
and by the way, the bike path was used and our trail was used during the centennial celebrations for the bridge, the toll bridge. They had part of their marathon running not only on our trail, but on the bike path.
Okay.
So it's a good thing we had it rut-free and mulched. So,
Okay. The last item, review the open space mission as it relates to property acquisition in light of current funding limitations and available privately owned vacant property. In my opinion, I think we achieved that in that we're concentrating on maybe 2 or 3 main areas of the island now, and given the fact we only have $500,000 left in our fund.
Strategic acquisitions from here on out.
Okay.
That's what we got to do. I don't know that the community is ready to ever add open space village again. I think that right now, the sentiment I pick up is we have enough.
Yeah.
So all we can do is just kind of fill in the blanks of what we have, and that's good justification for
I
filling in
agree.
the blanks.
And I agree with the comment that the amount of money that's left in the acquisition fund for purchasing additional open space has to be used for that purpose and no
Exactly.
other purpose. And the only way it cannot be used, and it can be redirected, is if the a vote of the people, and that's all.
You have to go out and ballot.
Okay. Okay. The next part is the goals and objectives for next year, and I'll do some note-taking here. What do you think our objectives should be for next year? And we'll just open it up. Woody, you want to?
I think the same thing we're doing now, but
Okay, we'll have another 2 wood cutting
it might be
events.
better 2 in the fall than this one in the spring, because we don't get that many people.
Okay. 2 wood.
People are not interested in, accumulating wood in the spring.
I have a couple, there's a couple guys out there that will come. And I know who they are, but
I really think, though, you got to...
You get more workers.
Yeah, you get more people.
if we open to the outside, we'll have more, and then we'll clean it up faster. That's what you want to do, you want to clean it up. It's just, you have several people who like to cut, and we could be here till hell freezes over,
Okay.
cleaning it up.
So would you probably have it one in the early fall, one in the late fall?
Yeah, well,
Maybe October and,
try one early, well, you don't, yeah.
depends on the weather, too.
weather permitting.
We open it to everybody,
Okay,
including people off the island,
okay.
and they could do the same rules.
For sure.
Let's try it, let's see what we can do, because all we're doing is beating our feet here in this thing.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to tie that to the dump the junk event.
Huh?
The wood cutting and the dump the junk event should be kept separate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, yes.
You have limited resources for policing this stuff.
No, where did the police do them? Of the wood cutting.
It's just a load for a small group. I worry about you.
Our-
Sometimes I can't be there.
You don't have to be there. you don't have to babysit them all day, but you
I suppose.
got to just keep tabs on them.
Yeah. Are we going to pick up on the idea that Daryl had about if somebody wants to cut in an area other than on our assigned 2 days, there's a process they can go to the
Yeah, we
township?
can do that too.
Yeah, okay.
Because we
Good
had,
point.
when Daryl and I were working, we had people who said, you know, it's really hard for me to get here now. I thought I was going to have to work, and we said, well,
Yeah, but some people got
about
excuses
that.
too.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I just
the
wondered if we were going to
disappears-
consider it.
If the bad wood disappears,
I don't care.
Yeah, maybe
we'll
we
take
can
an
separate
excuse.
permits.
Okay.
Yeah.
In other words,
We
if
can do that.
somebody has a
Somebody-
special, and they want to make a
somebody wants
special
to-
appointment for a permit to cut, and it's agreed, and we have somebody there to,
You
Yeah.
got somebody on Manchester who wanted to cut in the back of his property. That was turned into open space property. You know,
Yeah, no.
if it's going to do it for him, we got to bring everybody else with him.
yeah,
It's not just him, you know.
okay.
You gotta have to
Yeah,
open
time
it
to
up.
develop it,
We'll
that's
have
a good-
yeah, as long as it doesn't get out of hand, you know, every other week, somebody
Oh, yeah.
says, I like to do it, I don't want to do it this Saturday, I like to do it the following Saturday.
We have one
Well,
guy
yeah,
who's
but I
wanted to do
mean,
that.
if there's a legitimate reason, I
Okay.
just wondered if we're going to have something set up that if they call Woody or whatever, good judgment,
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
great words there. Good judgment.
okay. What about the dump the junk? We'll continue with that for
Yeah,
next year.
sure,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
And dump the junk and e-waste together.
And who?
And e-waste together.
What's e-waste?
The electronic waste.
Electronics, yeah, if you can get them.
Yeah, we'll pick
You
the
think
dates
both-
and
you
then
think I think if you do them twice a year, you're gonna, it'd be better to, once a year?
it's probably easier during good weather to do the e-waste event.
That's, well, it's either spring or fall, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if you pick a day that's 25 degrees, nobody wants to come out.
No, I know that, but I'm not talking
Can't-
about that.
you can't control rain.
The problem we have is the rain.
Yeah.
It isn't,
Would
you
you
don't
want to
know
have
about the bad weather, but when it rains, that tears everybody out.
would you want to shoot have both events, one in the fall, one in the spring?
I
Have
don't think
e-waste
they
at
come out
both of
with
them,
both of
if that's
I'm
possible?
doing an e-waste event on April 24th,
Where?
Wayne State University. And I anticipate being able to collect 160,000 pounds at that event. What do we collect at ours?
I
Wow.
have no idea.
It was much better than I anticipated.
Nobody's told us.
The first, well, I can get that figure. I thought you got it. The first one I did there got 440,000 pounds, 11 full semis.
Oh, okay.
But see, well, I guess what I'm saying is that if you want to see how we do it, we put them through a parking lot, and they drive in, they don't have to touch their stuff. We unload it right
Yeah,
there.
I know.
Yeah.
They did that over in Southgate and
But we are out in the open parking lot too. The only thing we get is 10 steaks.
Bye, everybody.
Right.
Good
Take
seeing
care.
you, kid.
Careful on the ice.
Take care.
Yeah, I'm really pretty ice-free wherever I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get the minutes
Yeah, I'll
to me.
take it,
I'll
yeah.
react on the...
Okay, I'll
that.
take it. So let's just shoot for both events. That will put in our goals, and if we get it, fine. If not, you know.
So what
be it.
2 events are we going for?
We have 2 dump junk
Okay.
events.
Dump junk
Like we always
events.
have, one in the spring, one in the fall.
2 wood cutting.
And 2 wood cutting events.
In the fall.
And at both the dump the junk events, we'll try to have the e-waste
Try to
as
get the
well.
e-waste in.
on the wood cutting, if other people want to come in, then just let us know and we'll
Yeah,
come
I
out
got
and
that.
try to supervise them.
Okay. Okay, so far we have 2. Does anybody else have any ideas for another thing that we need to do?
We want to pursue this a joint community feedback on the trails.
Okay?
So pursue a joint,
Not a survey, but
pursue a joint community feedback
Yeah.
session.
Okay. Okay, and we'll get into all the details on it. In other words, we'll...
Yeah, I'll get with Brian and I'll get with Leah and
Yeah, that's,
do something.
that's a good place to have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else that we want to do? Bert? As far as goals and objectives?
I can tell you that, and I don't know
Yeah?
what effect this has on anybody here, but we have been working on putting in a new drinking fountain. The Island Roadrunners is a group of people that runs here on the island. They donated
Yep.
$4,000 for us to put in a drinking fountain. And everybody thought that, wow, that's a lot of money for a drinking fountain. Until you find out that the drinking fountain costs $4,500. So we are going to probably put one down here at Grow and Meridian.
Really?
Yeah, and it's going to, looks like we're going to select one this week, but it's going to have a ADA fountain, it's going to have a bottle filler, and it's going to have a pet bowl, so that you can take your dog for a walk.
Okay.
The dog can get a drink of water. If you are physically challenged, the ADA rules will fit. And if you like to fill your drinking water, your drinking water thing, but we are, in order to accomplish this, we are working on a fundraiser, and it's selling bricks.
Okay.
And the bricks will be used to pave the area around the fountain. So expect to see some of this coming pretty soon. And it might be a nice idea with the bricks to use in other places along our bike paths and perhaps at entranceways to pass for focal points. Somebody who really, has a group of people who really, really loves the sanctuary path might want to put in a landing in front of a stool there made out of 100 bricks and all the names on it. You're going to be able to have a laser engraved name. I want to have a brick donated from my wife and I can have my name and her name on the brick, and it'll be right there.
Okay. Berta, you said you had something else you wanted to add?
Not really.
Art?
No, I don't have more than
I
suggest.
have a question. Can I ask Wally a question?
Yes.
On that drinking fountain, are there any health issues we have to be aware of? I was speaking to some of my friends about that, and they were amazed that we were considering it on the island because in the hospitals where they work, they're taking public fountains out because of health issues.
The difference between what you see in a public facility is a fountain that's fed with an old galvanized line and the water sits in it for months.
Okay.
When you turn it on, it has a foul taste and a foul odor, and that perpetuates its lessened use. Here, you're going to be 6 feet from a water main that's servicing everybody, so that water's fresh up until the point where the tap occurs. So, and we have 2 other fountains in place right now.
On the island?
Yes, we have one at the Lutheran Church. That's the Sims donated fountain. Then there's one in the park at Macomb and Meridian. And this would be the 3rd one, and so we'd have them strategic in 3 spots along the bike path. You could get a good cold drink of water. They are, as far as sanitation, they are designed NSF cleaning, self-cleaning, even the bowl on the bottom for the pups.
Cool.
Everybody wants to drink that fluoride.
I have one goal, and I'll throw it out and see what you think about it. I would like to extend the path on Meridian here in the Manchester open space all the way through to East River.
Going to do what with it?
Make it similar to what we have for the wildlife sanctuary. Right now that path goes about 3/4 of the way through the Manchester open space, and I think then it takes a dog leg to the left where the ditch is, and there's been some talk amongst us ourselves about maybe extending that path so that it runs to East River, where and ends up where we did the wood cutting
The
event.
wood cutting, yeah.
So I was wondering what you think. Is that worth pursuing or not worth pursuing?
How much trees,
Natural path?
Yeah, I think
The
it's a good
natural
idea.
path.
how many trees we gotta cut down?
Well, see, that's part of it. In other words, let's investigate the possibility of doing it. If we find that we should do it, fine. If we find there's too many obstacles in doing it, we won't do it.
That's what I was asking, is it already a natural path that you just want to approve?
Some of it is, but it's...
Some of it is, some of it
I've seen
isn't.
that.
Yeah.
This was a place where, and originally it was loaded with discarded debris along the sides,
Yes.
even bodies of cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom, but investigate continuing the path, the nature path on Meridian across from
East
the
River.
to East River.
East River,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Path.
Does it run right along?
Yeah, we could look at that.
That'd be
Yeah.
good.
I'm not saying we're going to do it,
But
but we'll see if
Yeah.
it can be done at a reasonable
hurt to
effort.
look.
yeah, that'd work for me.
Okay. Okay, we've got 5. Excuse me.
You
go
and
ahead.
I were talking about, on the nature trail path, was that big dip,
Yes.
and this time we just put tons of mulch in there so that there was no longer a dip. But you said eventually we should run, what is it, a conduit under? What's that pipe that you?
Culvert?
It's a
Yeah,
culvert.
it's a culvert.
Over. Underneath.
Do we want to consider that?
We'll take a look at it. If we feel we should, we will.
Okay.
I think you'd want to do that so that you let the water would drain.
Yeah.
It's a natural drainage slope in there.
Yeah.
And you want to let the water...
Because
you wouldn't
the
want to
mulch
pack
is
water.
not
There
going to
was
stay
some
there.
thought that maybe the mulch itself would allow it to go through, but
Yeah, if the natural drain goes through there and opens it up, then we can put the conduit in there.
Yeah, just put the
slip
culvert
it
in there.
And then
Then cover it again
cover it
with
up on more
yeah,
mulch.
we can do that without
Okay, not putting it in.
Yeah.
That's just maintenance.
with just maintenance.
Yeah,
Cool.
just maintenance.
Okay.
Okay. So just to summarize,
Here,
now
wait
what
a
I'm going to do,
Wait.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, I just thought, do we want to revisit the idea of meeting with the Conservancy Board? They felt that there's, their executive committee or something, because their board is pretty large. And we talked about, just having a kind of brainstorming session with them.
Absolutely. I know we don't even have to put that down as a goal,
Yeah.
but it's something we should do.
Okay.
And just put down improve our communications with our liaison groups. Okay? Make it oblique enough so that we have ourselves some latitude, but I think that's an excellent idea and something that we
Yeah, we
Be good to
couldn't do it in the fall
communicate with
because of
them.
their commitments. So, why not?
Sure.
Okay.
thank you for that.
Dad used to say, talk is cheap. He was right.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do when I get home tonight, I won't do it tonight, tomorrow, I'm going to type these up. I'll give you a draft, I'll give you the typewritten sheet on one last pass, and then I got to get this to Sharon Gray by next week. So you'll be getting a copy of this within a day or so for you to look at.
You wanted
The
mine
minutes.
right up to.
Okay.
Minutes.
Pardon?
Minutes of the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, that's a minute, so let's hold on to that for a minute.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be getting this to you very, very quickly for you to take a second look at it. Okay, we've got 6 goals for next year. We got the 2 wood cutting events. We got the dump the junk. We've got the joint efforts on feedback for the trails. We got drinking fountains. We have investigate investigate the possibility of extending the bike path, the footpath from Meridian to East River, and then the need to improve our communications with our liaison groups.
That fountain isn't our goal. It's a but BPAC can go.
Okay, so I should take that out.
Yeah,
Who's goal?
that's their goal.
It's not- Oh, it's not one of ours?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was asking you if you saw any merit in getting involved in it, or perhaps helping them sell bricks, or perhaps expand this, if we sell a lot of bricks,
Yeah.
maybe using it for paths or for entrance ways, just to decorate or give a little focal point on the ground,
Okay.
friends
Well,
like that.
We can just
Friends of the
work with them,
Yeah.
have them invite us to come and,
All right,
we don't
you're
need
invited
to.
to the next meeting.
Okay.
What about this budget thing? Are we gonna go
Wait,
into
that's
that?
We're
the
getting
next
there.
item.
So I only have 5 objectives now.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, okay. Okay, I'd like to have you turn the page and talk about our budget for next year. Let me put this thing in perspective as far as what this budget really is. As you know, we have a maintenance fund that was that's been set up through through millage, which was expired about 5 or 6 years ago. So right now, as of the end of this year, we project, as far as the April 14th or April 1st of this year, plan to have about $366,000 left in that fund. You can see where we've been spending about maybe an average of about maybe $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year. So what I'd like you to do is just look at it and just tell me what you think we should be including in the budget for next year. This is simply an informational document that I'll be giving to Ann Darsnack, and it'll be presented as part of the annual report to the Township Board. Do we want to go with what we had in the budget for the previous year, about $41,000? Do we want to go with what we've actually spent to date plus what we intend to spend? Is there any other items that we should add to this budget? Another thing is that just because we put a number down there, if we decide for circumstances which we can't foresee now that we need to spend more money on that one item, we will do just that. And with the understanding that we'll probably have other programs or other things we're going to do, then we're not going to spend as much money as we plan to. In other words, we're going to concentrate on the bottom line. We're not going to micromanage this thing down to every line item being at or below what the amount was. So, any thoughts?
I note you have eradication of invasive species, and we haven't spent any money in that area.
Correct.
But I will suggest to you that there are grants available for trees. DTE has a grant program. Michigan Department of Natural Resources has a grant program. You're able to apply for, I think it's up to 100 or 200 trees in some cases.
How big are the trees?
Huh?
How big are the trees?
I don't know. What do you?
They're seedlings.
This size or that size?
Maybe 18 inches. That'd be a big one.
I can tell you about the DTE
Some are
program.
bigger than that. There are some of them that have 2-inch at least.
Okay.
So, that's a good-sized tree already. But they
But that-
require matching grants.
But that's a good size, job to
Yeah.
plant that many trees too.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's go through each one of these line items and see if we should go with the same amount that we had last year, increase it, and we'll put some remarks down or what have you. Removal of trash and debris. We had $2,000. We plan to spend maybe $1,000. Should we bump that up or leave it about the same?
Leave it the same.
2,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, leave it.
Okay. All right, what about the tree cutting and removal? That seems to be running between $20,000 and $25,000 a year.
Leave it at 25.
Yep.
Okay. Equipment costs, we're not going to include that. Dumpster programs,
Oh, we should increase that? Since
yeah,
we spent more and
slightly more, yeah.
things are, I just, like when my notes, I said 6,000 or
Leave it at
something.
5.
Yeah,
5 or 6?
yeah, leave it at
Yeah,
5.
leave it at 5.
Okay. How about if we split to, let's make it 5,500. Therefore, if we have 2 electronic programs, I don't know whether we're going to be charged for that or not. Wally?
No, we're not charged at all for that.
Okay. Well, let's make it 5,500. Okay? I've heard 6, I heard 5, so we'll make it 5,500.
55, yeah.
Okay. All right. New tree plantings. We put $2,000 down. We haven't spent any money. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. But there seems to be a consensus here that we can get a lot of trees for nothing and plant them ourselves. Is that it?
Matching. Or
Well,
matching.
you can also get the Boy Scouts to help, too.
Why don't you just leave something in there?
Well, how much should I put in there?
Leave 1,000.
1,000? Okay.
I would suggest, you mean between the new trees and plantings, take the $3,000 and just put it in there and forget about the eradication. Eradication, we will take care of if we need to.
Okay.
We don't have to budget for something we don't know.
Okay. You want eradication, you want to leave it 0? Or do you want to put the new tree?
I would put it into the new trees and plantings. Make that 3,000 instead of 2. And let's see what we can come up with grants for trees.
Okay.
You get 100 trees and plant them strategically, and if there's some decent size to them,
We can get evergreen trees.
Although we know
We need a
that
lot of evergreens.
we have quite a bit of evidence that we have some very invasive species in some of the open space properties. And we have done nothing about
So
it.
maybe we should keep that
$1,000 isn't
in.
going to do much to it anyway.
What?
Yeah.
$1,000.
No, it won't do much to it, but I think that's something that we need to look at if we intend to leave the open space property in its pristine condition, so that it's not going to be just.
Should that be an objective?
I would think so.
So,
But investigate to see what's happening
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's add that to
We've got a couple different open space properties that have been identified as having a lot of invasive species.
What are you saying, Art?
Why do I say it?
Loosestrife?
What's that?
Is there loosestrife, or is there?
Well, I can't remember the names of the invasive species, but it's in a report that we have. We had somebody come through and make a survey of open space properties here about maybe 5 years ago.
I remember Indian rope vine being something like that.
This was I think it was called buckthorn.
yeah, buckhorn,
I
yeah.
think it was buckthorn that was the invasive species, but the thing is, it grows like crazy, but the idea is then it doesn't let the natural tree growth that would take place from, different things, like acorns falling and turning into
I'm not
trees.
seeing.
Well, let's stick $1,000 in there, but let's also put it in our goals and objectives.
Yeah.
And if we identify something that we really need to go after,
If you want me to find out, to look up the report that I have about who found it and where they found it,
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay.
Because I have the report, it's in my file.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
now there's, next item is open space, wood cutting programs. It's at $200 there strictly for the signs. That's all it is. So you want to go with the 200
What's that done for?
for the wood cutting? Let's update the 2 signs.
And how much is that, what it costs?
Yeah.
200, that's it?
$100 for the fall, $100 for there's 2 of them.
Okay, I know that.
There are 2 events,
Yeah, right.
okay? So each time you have an event, you have to update the sign.
So we have a total of 4 events then, right? We're having 2 cutting and 2 wood dumps?
In the dump the junk thing, that $5,500, that's all inclusive. That includes the signs.
With the signs, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Put $200 in there for that. What about chip cost? We had $1,000. We were very fortunate. We had volunteers.
You'll get the
Right,
volunteers
but we've
again
got
this
the
year.
other
They're
half
trying
to
get
do.
the chip.
Yes.
Let's leave it.
Where's the trip?
Okay.
Chip costs?
Yeah, $1,000 may help you with equipment to move the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Agree.
primarily.
Chips are free.
Yeah, the chips are free, but you
Now,
gotta...
we're not going to update the open space guide. We did that already.
Right.
Okay. So we'll just put 0. You want to leave that item in or just leave it at 0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave it.
You don't forget it,
Okay.
that one.
Now, what about the new trail signs? We spent about $1,100 on trail signs last year.
Well, if we do that I talked about on the nature trail,
Yes.
we could do it for 500. But that's just an estimate. I don't have any solid facts.
Let's put $1,000 in there for
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
Okay. Provisions for replacing existing signs, that is, signs that deteriorate to the point where they have to be replaced.
Well, since we're changing over to metal, you don't have too many except for the ones that are those great big huge signs they got.
Yeah.
The only reason we replace them is some tree falls through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we leave it about, in other words, if something happens where we have to replace a sign?
Yeah, put a couple $1,000 in there.
Because, signs
says
are not,
you have to spend it.
signs are not inexpensive.
That's right. Okay.
And maybe we should just change over to the ones that you had, the smaller signs. What do we need a big sign for?
Cheaper.
Yeah, sign pollution is something that bothers me.
Okay.
Yeah, we got enough
I
of them on
want to
your,
talk
on
to
your
you
bike
about
path.
sign pollution after the
Let's
meeting.
stick $2,000.
You agree?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's stick
We got enough of them on
2,000.
your bike path.
Just 2,000?
Yeah,
Amen.
does that sound reasonable or not reasonable? Or should it be higher?
That's good.
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, I don't know what that adds up to, but my guess is it's going to add up to about close to $40,000, and that's what we'll put down.
Do you know on your bike path, are you coming off a horse mill?
Is there anything that we have overlooked as far as money that we need to spend
You have
next
a
year?
low little car,
Pardon?
Is there anything we've overlooked?
a big box there.
What about,
Have a lot of signs,
what about
and it
the
does. I almost hit somebody.
cleaning up the
Just a
area
bad spot, yeah.
Yeah.
that's, let's say, north of the new bike path sign that's going down Horse Mill?
Which one?
The new bike path that goes down Horse Mill.
Yeah.
I haven't been up in that area in the last 3 months or so, but it was in pretty bad shape
Yeah.
as far as trees that were just knocked over and left lay along the
There's a
edge.
lot of trees.
Yeah, but they really ought to be taken out.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
part of
think
your
if
cleanup,
you look at
right?
item number 2, Art, at the top, second, says tree cutting and removal and cleanup.
We don't have enough money to clean it up.
Wally said that's part of their cleanup.
I don't think they're gonna go back.
They're going to go back a bit. But
Okay, they're gonna go.
the longer it goes, the less likely they are to do very much.
Right.
So I was looking to the wood cutting events to be of some
Well,
help.
we got some of it out there, but you're back, and you're all inward.
Yeah.
It's not just laying there, and we can get to it.
Well, to Art's question, we usually include that as one item, and we got $25,000 in there. But to your point, should we increase that to provide more areas where we should clean up?
Well, if that money is not in the original appropriation for the installation of the bike path, in other words, if they consider that that's all done, then we need to do something to get rid of that junk that's on when I say junk, parts of trees that's alongside of the bike path that is still laying there.
Yeah, are you talking about, okay, is that the entire length?
Well, I can't say for sure it's the entire length, but a good portion of the length.
Probably on the left-hand side as you're
It's on the
going
north
to-
side.
On the north
On
side.
our side, okay.
North side where?
The north side of the path between Meridian and the sanctuary.
And I think
Right?
let's take a look at it this spring.
I
and
know
if
what
we-
you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I pitched a real squawk about that because they said that they were done and that they cleaned it all up. And I said, no, you didn't. You knocked down trees there. So we still got a little battle going on.
Well, I can get a work party together and we can get that out of
Are
there.
you talking about just by the bird sanctuary? Is that the?
No,
No, it still runs the length.
It's pretty much the whole.
If you're gonna work from Meridian to Thoroughfare on the south side, you're gonna have to get a heavy equipment in there to pull it out. People are not gonna go in and try to cut that stuff the way it's all mumbo jumbo in there.
Yeah.
Well, that I took particular notice of most of it could come out with just a lot of elbow grease and some chainsaws.
Yeah, well, you're not even gonna get that much elbow grease.
Okay, let's put,
Yeah.
tell you what, let's do, let's put $30,000 in there for...
Under which one?
I wonder how much
Under tree cutting and
mileage we
cleanup.
could get out of providing a skilled
Wow,
chainsaw
okay.
operator from a commercial cutting company there, chopping down the trees and let people take
Okay.
it.
Again, what I'll do is I'll type this up. I'll get it to you for another look-see before I
You know
give
what
it
I
to
mean?
I
Anthony.
understand. So most of the ones that he's
I have a
talking
question.
about,
Yes.
it's all mumbo jumbo like this.
They're all tied
So,
together.
I mean, I know as you drive around and you see the wooded areas, there's just a lot of dead trees and trees that are falling.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of that is from the emerald ash borer that has killed
Exactly.
a lot of ash trees.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, I don't know that any of us are foresters and are really knowledgeable about what is a healthy forest and what do we want it. What do we want in there? Not necessarily what we want it to look like from an aesthetic standpoint, but what should be in there. Because dead trees provide habitat and things like that. So, do we want to even think about getting some advice from a forester in terms of what?
Most of the people want just what they look at.
I know, but what people look at isn't necessarily what.
Well, couldn't we bring a speaker in to tell us?
This report that I have, that I have in my possession, it was made by a professional.
Okay, I'd be interested to see.
It covered some of that, and I disagreed with what they said on that score, because I just don't think that a tree, for example, that gives up its life because of emerald ash borer, falls down, and if you're going to wait for that to rot up and raise a series of species, from the rotting tree, it looks like the devil.
Well, I think we have to take a look at it from a sensible point of view, is that forest is going to be there for many, many years.
I've always heard
And
from
if it's right by the roadside,
Right, yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
the spots that are visible along the bike path and everything, you want it to look
that's all we're
attractive.
talking about.
This is what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm not talking about, going 300 feet off the bike path. I'm talking about going, 60 feet off the bike path. That is very, very visible, and it's an eyesore, really. It's just, it looks like it's an unfinished project.
what you're looking at is the incompletion of a project. I'm trying to look for a word.
That's right,
A
yeah.
project that hadn't been completed,
That's-
and it makes it look terrible.
Well,
It's not a
In the
natural
center, in the
thing.
center of an open space, I believe that an open space is the way God built it, and He's going to run it. And but at the edges, when you
This is
when you do
this is
work-
man-made.
This is man-made, exactly.
if it's man-made, then we should do something
Yes,
about it.
indeed.
If a tree falls, so be it.
Yeah, don't cut it off just inside of
Unless
the
unless
white
it's
line on the
endangering
roof.
life limit
Right, right.
property, obviously. But to your point, I think we have to limit ourselves only to those areas where, like for example, on the bike path, where construction, they had to tear a tree out, and instead of disposing of it,
They kind of push
Yeah,
it to
well,
the side.
right, I mean, I wasn't sure, Woody, what you meant, because I guess I was thinking,
yeah.
we want every open space to be kind of pristine.
Like a
So help me,
Right, right.
so help me,
And
some
that's
of
what we
it looks
tend
like
to
it was, the tree was knocked over with a backhoe.
Yeah.
And just pulled over
Yeah.
that way, and then swish with the bucket going this way like that. And that's kind of, I think that should be corrected.
Let's deal with it as a commission.
Yeah.
Let's go after it.
Okay, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll update both of these documents, and I'll get them to you tomorrow then, okay? Okay, there's one more item that I have completely neglected to do, add to the agenda, and I was just made aware of it today.
Motion to
Adjourn?
No.
No. Motion to appoint
the
Cliff
chairman.
St. Pierre as chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Done.
Wait a minute, hold it.
See how easy that was?
I appreciate it. I was going to give a
Motion to adjourn
30-minute
for those.
speech, but I know
No,
Woody
you ain't
wouldn't
gonna do a
stand for
30-minute
it.
speech, I know that.
No, I really enjoy working with the group. I really do. It's a lot of fun. There were times in the past couple of years where it's gotten a little testing, not with the group, but with certain issues that we had to deal
And we
with.
still have to deal with those issues.
But
They haven't gone away.
next year, the way I feel right now, I think maybe I'd like to take a vacation for a while. I'll serve next year, for 2013, for 2014 to 2015. But beyond that, I think maybe I'd like to
Vacation. Next year, be asking
say,
for a raise.
it's been a lot of
Don't
fun.
worry about that.
But if you want me for another year, I'll be glad to step up.
We don't revote.
But it's,
We're already passed unanimous.
all right.
You want to talk about your raise afterward? or-
So you're saying we
We're
need to
gonna
start
double it.
thinking about succession, right?
Well, what happens if
2015?
I'm driving down the road and I get in a car accident?
So
Just
do you-
remember,
anybody else?
nobody is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
That's right.
Don't even think of it.
Don't worry about
Now,
it,
what you're
Danny.
telling me, if something happens to
Daryl
me
should tell
in
you
a New
about
York
what he
minute,
did.
somebody will be there, right? Okay.
Not to
Don't
worry.
worry about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome.
Okay, Woody, do you have any more motions to make?
No, motion to quit, let's go.
Okay, all those in favor?
Second.
Aye. Thank you very much.
That was easy.